Okay. Let's change to something that let's just change to something else. Let's take a look at this, shall we? This is fun. This is fun. Are we having fun yet? I'm having fun. I don't have anything that's we'll go with that.
You are terrible.
Yeah. All right. Trump and Hegseth float renaming Defense Department to Department of War. So again, it's basically trying to rename it back. It was the Department of War back during the First and Second World War. Then they changed it to Department of Defense. Now they want to change it back to the Department of War, which is funny because I was told that Trump was going to be the guy who brings peace in, but we've had nothing but war and bombings and all that type of stuff. Is this, and I'm not going to say either way because we don't know, is this a signal and preparation for World War III? Since we've had the Department of War for the first two World Wars and defense since, is this a signal that World War III is coming? Who knows? It's interesting to think about. Either way, Hegseth said plans to rename his agency as the Department of War are coming soon, but it remains unclear whether the executive branch can make such a move without congressional permission. They can't. That has to go through Congress. But again, Trump does whatever he wants to at that point. During a White House press event on Monday, Hegseth spoke about the deployment of the National Guard troops throughout Washington, D.C. and along the southern U.S. border, which I don't know if anybody saw it, but the National Guard in D.C. is now just walking around the city picking up trash. They're on trash duty. I don't know if anybody's seen that or not, but yep, they're walking along with bags and little pokey sticks picking up trash now. So, President Trump responded to the remarks by complimenting the service members, but complained that the Department of Defense name didn't sound good to him. Department of Defense, I don't want to be defense only, he continued. We want defense, but we want offense too. It used to be called the Department of War, and it had a stronger sound. And as you know, we won World War I, we won World War II, we won everything. Something tells me he's taking credit for winning World War I and World War II, just because how much we know on that. But let's hear him talk about this, shall we? Let's hear what he has to say. I want you guys to pay close attention to what he says, because it's pretty telling. All hail Dictator Dawn.
To do that, it requires an act of Congress to rename the Defense Department to the Department of War.
We're just going to do it. I'm sure Congress will go along if we need that. I don't think we even need that, but if we need that.
Did you guys hear that? I know that's as loud as I can get it, so I apologize if it's a little low. But yeah, he basically said, we're just going to do it and Congress will go along with it. He does not give a rip about the Constitution. He does not give a rip about how this is supposed to work and how the order of things works. He's basically saying, we're just going to do it. Congress will go along with it.
And on the Department of War, how do you plan to do that? It requires an act of Congress to rename the Defense Department to the Department of War.
We're just going to do it. I'm sure Congress will go along if we need that. I don't think we even need that, but if we need that, I'm sure Congress will go along. You know, that was the name when we won World War I, we won World War II, we won everything, and just to me seems like just a much more appropriate. The other is defense is too defensive, and we want to be defensive, but we want to be offensive too if we have to be. So it just sounded to me better, really like a better name. Yeah.
So here's just a little indicator that he's just going to continue to do whatever he wants to do, which again, I've got a video here in a minute that says he will do whatever he wants to do. And this is just continuing in the direction that he started from day one, where it's been an executive order presidency. He's been bypassing Congress the whole time. He's been bypassing all this in order to get this down, this fascist dictatorship down. I'm just saying it plainly. That's exactly what this is. We've got martial law in DC. He's getting ready to start planting standing military all across the United States. He's taking over financial stuff. He's combining private corporations with the government, which is full on socialist, fascist, and corporatist. And now he's just going to say, well, you know, if we're going to rename it to war because we want to be offense, and I don't care what Congress said. I don't care what the rule says, which does say that Congress has to approve it, but he's saying they'll just go along with it. This has to happen for this country to collapse. And it's going to collapse. It has to. It has to go down. And we are seeing a full-on takeover. And this is the rebuilding trust. This is the rebuilding trust. This is we understand that there's going to be a lot of people that if Biden or Kamala was involved with this, that nobody would accept it. There'd be backlash. But because it's Trump, everybody's applauding it, or they're silent about it. I'm telling you, imagine if that was Biden sitting there that said, we're just going to do it. Congress will go along with it. You know the backlash that would be coming through that? It'd be insane. It would be absolutely insane on that. Going along with this full-on takeover of the United States, we have this. It says, U.S. could take stakes in more companies, Trump advisor says. Kevin Hassett said that the Trump administration's piece of chipmaker Intel is like a down payment on a sovereign wealth fund. So we went over that Saturday. Was that Saturday? I think it was Saturday. We went over that. That they bought in 10%. They are now the majority stakeholder of a private company that is Intel, who does the computer chips and stuff like that. And what we have going on is we have the government that is now buying equity, grabbing control of private companies, which is the very definition of socialism and corporatism. That is the definition. It is the combining. It is the taking hold, government taking hold of private companies and profiting off of them and moving them forward. It's so hilarious to me how Kamala was the one that was going to bring in socialism, but Trump is actually doing it. And they're going to do more, saying that they're going to go after more. Could take stakes, which means they're going to attempt to. The U.S. government could take equity stakes in more companies, potentially through an American sovereign wealth fund, according to one of President Donald Trump's top economic advisors. National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett made the comments Monday, days after the United States took a nearly 10% stake in Intel. The government secured a piece of the semiconductor maker with money intended for grants as part of the Chips and Science Act passed during the Biden administration. Speaking about the new Intel position, Hassett told CNBC, it's like a down payment on a sovereign wealth fund, which many countries have. So because other countries are doing it, that means we got to do it. Governments, if they jumped off a bridge, anyways. Governments throughout Europe, Asia, and the Middle East use such funds to invest in companies and other financial assets. You mean other countries that are also socialist and communist and all that as well? The federal government has taken ownership stakes in private companies before, but only under extraordinary circumstances, such as during the global financial crisis of 2008. What that's referencing is during 2008, when there was all the financial collapse, the trigger for all of this stuff, there was a lot of bailouts happening. And one of the big ones was the car market, like GM and whatnot, had the government buy in to their companies in order to have taxpayers prop up the companies so they didn't fall. And then when that was all done, which I believe it was 2013 that they pulled out, the government lost all that money. So basically, you guys, the taxpayers, paid for the car companies not to collapse and never got the money back. They took your money to prop up a big company. That's what they did. Amazing how that works, right? Hassett said that the Intel, anybody vote for that? Just curious. Hassett said that the Intel investment was a very, very special circumstance because of the massive amount of CHIPS Act spending that was coming Intel's way. He added, so I'm sure that at some point there will be more transactions, if not in this industry, in other industries. The CHIPS Act was established as a way for the government to provide financing and capital to foreign and domestic companies that manufactured semiconductors and related products in the United States. Americans and the American economy received the benefit of more than $200 billion in private capital investments since the act was signed into law. according to the Council on Foreign Relations. So Americans received the benefit of more than $200 billion in capital investments. Has any of you guys seen that money? I'll wait. Have any of you guys seen a dime of that $200 billion that they claim we received? I can tell you who probably did. They wear suits and call themselves lawmakers. They always try and make it where it benefits you. But they don't. It doesn't benefit you. It benefits them. Because it has to do with making it dependent. You depend upon them. They take the money. They benefit. They continue to take more and more of your privacy and your freedom and all this stuff, continue to knock you down. And then we get something like this. He also said that we're absolutely not in the business of picking winners and losers. However, the United States is now Intel's largest single shareholder. The administration has also taken a golden share in U.S. Steel as part of approving its merger with Japan's Nippon Steel. Trump also said he negotiated with NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang to take a 15% cut of the chipmaker's revenue from some chips sold in China. He also has a similar deal with rival chipmaker AMD. So this is the perfect opportunity because remember, their coming in was the acceleration of AI. This was going to be the administration of AI. This was a part of the Project 2025. This was a part of the Manhattan Projects about making this the AI capital of the world and all that type of stuff. So what they do is they're coming in. We're going to start installing AI everywhere, and then we're going to start through fascist means grabbing a hold of the tech companies that can make that happen so we benefit from it. Not we, us, but them. Sticking with the full-on dictatorship, and I hope people are paying attention to what's going on with this because there's little things here and there that really do indicate what's going on. We've got this. Trump pulls Dictator Playbook and hangs giant banner of his face. On the same day that Donald Trump said many Americans yearn for a dictatorship, which isn't exactly what it is. I want to make sure I clarify this. There's an interview where it was just yesterday, where he was saying, some people are asking for a dictator. Maybe they want a dictator. Maybe they need a dictator, but I'm not a dictator. And so you have a lot of interesting back and forth on that. So pretty interesting, but he seems to make mention that America is asking for a dictator. So something to keep in mind. His administration took a page from the book of dictators everywhere and unfurled a giant banner of the president's face on the facade of the Department of Labor. The banner, which features Trump's steely second inaugural portrait, also has the logo for Trump's America 250 programming and the motto American Workers First. Currently drapes over the windows of 3 stories of the building, according to photos posted online, which come directly from the Department of Labor. You can find this on their Twitter account. And yes, it's absolutely right there. They put a giant picture of Trump's face on the Department of Labor. He's also on the Department of Agriculture as well. Giant picture. This is stuff that you see in the dictator countries. Kim Jong-un, Gaddafi, Saddam Hussein, Mussolini, Hitler, all these dictator countries. And now we have this here in the United States going on right in front of our very eyes. But that's nothing to worry about, right? That's nothing to worry about. Well, let's hear what he has to say in regards to being the president and what's going on with this.
So I would have much more respect for Pritzker if he'd call me up and say, I have a problem. Can you help me fix it? I would be so happy to do it. I don't love, not that I don't have the right to do anything I want to do. I'm the president of the United States. If I think our country's in danger, and it is in danger in these cities, I can do it.
Did you hear that? He's saying because he's president, he can do whatever he wants to do. We've seen that in action. All the executive orders. We just played a video where he said congressional approval. Nah, we'll just do it and they'll just go along with it. He's continuing to prove that he is in fact moving with that mindset of a dictatorship. And that is required in order to start locking down this country. That's the point, is the United States right now is like the last thing that's holding this whole thing from going over the edge. And so what we have going on is this dictatorship, a fascist dictatorship that's grabbing control of private companies, that's taking control of the financial markets, that's coming in, putting standing military on the streets of the United States, issuing a certain form of martial law that's not officially martial law, but it's pretty close there. He's just disregarding the Constitution altogether. He's doing all these things in order to bring this country into control, obedience. That's what's going on. He wants people obedient. I've played that video. This was months ago, where he was. Somebody managed to catch him when he was having a conversation backstage one time, and he was praising Kim Jong-un because he said his people stand and worship him, and that's basically what he wants. And we're seeing this right now. Now, I still don't believe that this dude's in control of anything. I don't. I think he was promised some stuff. As we know, his whole ordeal goes back to being bailed out by the Rothschild family, as well as a Saudi prince multiple times. He also has connections to the Russian mafia and so on and so forth. And I believe that he was groomed from a long time ago to come in and take the spot when the time was ready, to get people to follow him. And he's benefiting however he is. We don't know. And I don't think he's in control of anything right now. I think he's just the face that's there in order to get the country to go along with what they want to do for this new system that they're bringing in. And it's working perfectly. It's working perfectly. Because he can go out there and say this, and yet you have all the people that call themselves patriots going, yep, that's what I voted for. Because of that left-right paradigm. If that was Kamala, the country wouldn't be behind this because of that programming. But because it's Trump, they are behind it, which means they can not only move it forward, but they can move it forward faster without backlash. That's the important stuff. That's the point on that. And we all know that he's supposed to be playing a major part when it comes to deporting people, getting rid of the Chinese spies and all that stuff. But yet Trump says that the U.S. will accept 600,000 Chinese students as part of a trade deal. He said that they were taking visas away from Chinese students because they were communist spies for China. But now he's saying that we're going to bring in 600,000 of them. Pretty interesting. Trump announced that the United States is prepared to accept up to 600,000 Chinese students as part of a trade deal his administration is trying to strike with China. We're going to allow, it's very important, 600,000 students, Trump told reporters Monday at the White House. We're going to get along with China, but it's a different relationship than what we have now with China. Trump made the president ahead of a bilateral meeting with South Korean President Lee Jae-myung after he was asked when he would sit down with Chinese President Xi Jinping. I'd like to meet with him this year, said President Xi. Would like me to come to China, he said. We're taking a lot of money in from China because of the tariffs and different things. It's a much better relationship economically than it was before with Joe Biden. Again, there's that societal manipulation. When you continue to feed the left-right paradigm, people start going in that direction. I mean, they just took him to the cleaners. The Trump administration has clamped down on the number of students, visa holders, and with Secretary of State Marco Rubio promising in May to aggressively revoke the visas of Chinese students, suggesting that suspected connections, the Chinese Communist Party, would be one criterion. So again, we started to take away because of this, but now we're going to add. So what's the difference there? Trump in June previewed the U.S.'s acceptance of Chinese students, but did not provide details regarding the number. It is unclear that what window Trump would set for admissions. As of last year, more than 270,000 Chinese students were enrolled in U.S. universities. So basically, he's saying we're going to actually up the amount of Chinese that are going to be coming into the United States. Again, we're being told one thing. We're being fed one thing, but yet we're seeing actions going in the wrong direction on that. What does it all mean? I can't give you an answer on that. I really don't know. I really don't know. But this is definitely going against what we were supposed to be promised, right? Who are these students? Why are we going to be almost tripling the amount that we have now? And what are they going to be doing? Well, we got a video from Lutnick, who he says this is actually America first. He's selling this move as America first. Let's hear what he's got going on.
It's very important.
Mr. Secretary, with all due respect, how is allowing 600,000 students from the communist country of China putting America first?
Well, the president's point of view is that what would happen if you didn't have those 600,000 students is that you'd empty them from the top, all the students would go up to better schools, and the bottom 15% of universities and colleges would go out of business in America. So his view is he's taking a rational economic view, which is classic Donald Trump, looking at higher education and saying,
but why are you
until
helping
we
Harvard?
Modify that.
That just
What's
helps
that?
Harvard and UCLA and UCal Berkeley and I mean you're all helping those schools. Why? They're like, basically factories of anti-American propaganda. And now they're getting a big influx of cash because of the Chinese students. I know President Trump has always been very pro-Chinese student. I just don't understand it for the life of me. Those are 600,000 spots that American kids won't get.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm involved in. I'm involved in changing the H-1B program, right?
Yeah, we're not even going to get into the H-1B thing. So how he's selling it, if you guys aren't catching it, he says if the Chinese students go away, that means that the American students who are on the lower schools get pushed up to better schools, and then all those lower schools, about 15% of them, would die out. So the way to fix this is to bring in Chinese students to put them into the better schools to keep the American students down at the bottom level schools. So his idea of America first is to keep American people in the lesser schools and have the Chinese students go into the top colleges. That's what he's feeding you. That's what they're feeding you in regards to this. To keep America first, the American students need to go to the worst schools and the Chinese students need to go to the better schools. And then there's the contradictory statement there of, well, that just means you're helping Harvard and all these other countries that, or all these other colleges that you can't stand, that you've been fining and claiming that are propaganda and stuff like that, and you're going to be helping them. And he didn't even answer the question. Again, who are these Chinese students? What are they going to be doing here? What all that means, I don't know. I don't know at this point. And no, it's not one of those things where it's like, well, they're going to be, coming in and Chinese spies, China trying to take control of the United States and stuff like that. We already know that the United States and China are still owned by the same puppeteers. So that's not going to change. That's all the same stuff. So pretty interesting what's going on there.